my favorite old school recipes that is like a crowd pleaser. Everybody loves this biscotti. It is a dried cranberry white chocolate almond biscotti. It is scrumptious. Like, I'm not a huge fan of biscotti. I don't really understand it, to be perfectly honest. Sort of a dry, brittle, super crunchy cookie. But these are good. They are so good. So it's an almond flavored biscotti with dried cranberries in it. And then I dip it in a white chocolate. It's a recipe I've been making since the 90s. I'm gonna say it's a bit of a 90s recipe. Don't matter, you know what? It's delicious. Did you know what biscotti means? Twice baked. So essentially what we're doing is we are making a dough, and I'm gonna make a sort of almost like a loaf. We bake it, then I take it and I cut it up into slices, and then we bake it again. I'm just going to get started and make some biscotti. So the first thing I need to do is I need to cream my butter, my sugar, and my almond extract. So this is half a cup of unsalted butter and 1.5 cups of white sugar and half a teaspoon of pure almond extract, which smells heavenly. It's just lovely. Love the smell of amaretti or amaretto, one or the other. Love the smell of almonds. So I'm going to cream this until it's well blended. Okay, that's looking good. Now I'm going to add 2 large eggs. Now I've let these eggs come to room temperature. Oh my God, I'm having troubles. Ugh. And now I'm just going to beat this until it is well blended. That is looking great. I'm just going to scrape the sides down, and then I'm going to add my flour mixture. So what I have here is 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm just going to pour the whole thing in. And I have 1 teaspoon of baking powder and half a teaspoon of salt. And then I'm just going to mix this until it's well blended. So now my dough has come together, and essentially it's just a bit of a soft, sort of like a soft, it's a very delicate sort of dough actually. I'm going to give it a little scrape, and then I'm going to add my 1.5 cups of dried sweetened cranberries. 1.5 cups dried cranberries, just throw those in there and give it a mix. Machine's straining a bit, so the dough is done. Look at that, so lovely, so lovely. Okay, so now I'm going to take this dough and I'm going to divide it in 2 because I'm going to make 2 sort of long, imagine something that looks a little bit like a French baguette. All right, so I'm just going to flour my board, just like that. And then I'm taking my dough and I'm going to divide this into 2 pieces. So glad someone finds me this fascinating as my cats. Divide it into 2. I'm simply going to form this into a about a 9-inch, 2-inch wide log. You can just kind of use your hands, just form it with your hands. And I kind of like mini biscotti, so I'm going to try and make it a little bit on the longer and the skinnier side. All right, so I have my 2 logs ready to go. I'm just going to sort of squish this one out a little bit. So I just made my logs just shy of the length of my cookie sheet, and they're about 2.5 inches wide and probably 1.5 inches tall. So I'm just going to pop these in a 350-degree oven for about 35 minutes. All right, silly me, forgot to do, it's not a crucial step, but it is something that makes it look a little bit nicer. I just forgot to egg wash the tops of these. So they've been in the oven for about 15 minutes. So I figure, what's the harm? I'm just going to give them a quick egg wash right now. And now I'm just going to basically brush the egg white all over the top and the sides. It just gives the biscotti a really nice sheen on the tops, essentially. And then I'm just going to pop these back in the oven for another 15 minutes. Well, hello, biscotti. That looks pretty darn good. It's golden brown. It's been in the oven for about 30 to 35 minutes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it cool to almost completely cool before I cut them again and bake them again. Part 2 of biscotti, the second baking, to come. All right, so I am now ready to cut my biscotti. I've got my nice serrated knife here. Really, you could use any kind of a sharp knife, but the sharper the better. You really want to have nice clean lines when you're doing this. So what you want to do is you just want to cut, and the ends are going to be a little bit like crispier than the rest of it. You just want to cut them into about 1/2 inch pieces, just across, just like this. You see just how beautiful they look from the cross section. Those cranberries really show beautifully. And what we're going to do is we're going to arrange these on our baking sheet, cut side down. So you can place them as close as you want on the sheet, because obviously these cookies have already been baked. They are not going to spread whatsoever. So you can just go ahead and cram them on the cookie sheet. And then we're just going to bake these again for about 10 minutes on the one side. Then I'm going to flip them, and then we're going to bake them for another 5 minutes. So that's how easy this is. Okay, so I'm just going to flip these now and then bake them for another 5 minutes. You see the beautiful color on there. All right, so I've just melted some white chocolate here in my little double boiler. Okay, so all I've done is just transferred my melted chocolate into my squeeze bottle, and I'm just going to drizzle some of this white chocolate on top of each of these biscotti. Just like that. You want to work a little bit quickly. It's coming under the squeeze bottle really quite nicely, actually. So I'm just going back and forth, just like that. And that's 6 ounces of white chocolate chips. And these are pure white chocolate chips. You can use a Lindt chocolate, you can use Calabo, whatever floats your boat. And then you just want to let these sit out overnight so that the chocolate has a chance to properly set. Very satisfying making something that tastes this good and looks so pretty and be so easy. Biscotti is surprisingly easy. You know, just makes your coffee all that much better. So there you have it, my finished biscotti. If you think you want to try this recipe for yourself, head on over to bakewithmetv.com. The recipe's posted there. And if you like what I'm doing here, why not subscribe to the YouTube channel? They make a lot of appearances on the YouTube channel. Hit the little bell for the notifications. No, buddy, no, up. Thanks everyone, and have a wonderful day, and happy baking.